Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 94 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and where I get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, January 15th, 2022, and I haven't talked to you it's been 2 weeks now. I think it was last year on January 1st. And the week after I last spoke with you, I had a whole bunch of time that I spent on virtual conferences, and I was able to do a bunch of knitting. Put it this way, all of my projects have seen a lot of love in the last 2 weeks since I spoke with you last. School started up again now this past week, and the week before that was all conference time. So the bulk of what I did knit was last week, but I was tied up with conference stuff pretty much all day, every day, and I just didn't have the brain space at the end of all of that to get a podcast filmed. So I missed a week, but that's okay. I just have at least twice as much to show you today. So first things first, I have a finished object. My sorta shorty Halloween socks are done. I finished them, sometime last week. I don't remember which day. When I last saw you, one of the socks was finished, and the other one, I was at this point. I had the leg was finished. I had finished the heel flap and the heel turn. I just had to pick up the gusset stitches, do the decreases, and head down my big foot. So I got that done in these are finished last week sometime. So first finished object of 2022. Late for Halloween, but I'm ready for Halloween next year. So I'm really happy with those. There's no specific pattern for these. These were just done using 2.25 millimeter needles. There's a big noisy semi going past, sorry. These were made using 2.25 millimeter needles. This is some bare yarn that I dyed myself in kind of a Halloween theme colorway. I just used a bright orange and purple dye for this, and it's basically a 2x2 rib down the leg. I think I did about 40 rounds for the leg, and as I've mentioned in earlier episodes, I don't particularly like a long leg on my socks because I have pudgy legs. So I prefer them to be on the short side so that they just get to the ankle and just go up a few inches up my leg. And that's just right for my liking. And I just did a basic slip stitch heel flap, heel turn, and then just picked up the gusset stitches and did a basic gusset decrease. And as I moved down the foot, I continued the 2x2 ribbing all the way down the top of the foot till it came time to decrease for the toes, and just plain stocking it on the bottom of the foot. So those are done. First finished object of 2022. Hopefully there'll be lots more finished objects in the next year, but we shall see. So that's my finished object. My other 4 whips that I have got love. Each one of them got a fair bit of love all through the last 2 weeks. So I've got progress on every single one of my whips since I last saw you. So I'm pretty excited about that. So first one in my Fringe Supply field bag is my Advent scarf for 2021. I know I was late for Halloween, I'm late for Advent as well. But this is a pattern. It's put up by Trisha Weatherston, And this is a bonus thing that's kind of a spin-off from Sock Madness. It's been going on for multiple years now. I think we're up to 12 or 13 years now. And each year Trisha does a different scarf, or in this case this year a cowl. Each year some different design. So this pattern started coming out, one clue came out a day all through the Advent season. So it started, the first clue came out on December 1st, the last one on December 24th. I was scheduled for surgery on my thumb on December 1st, so I was 2 weeks behind right from the get-go. This is probably the project I've worked the most on in the last 2 weeks, other than finishing the socks. This one has probably seen the most love. I am currently almost halfway done day number 22. So I have roughly 2.5 days to go, and then I have to tuck in the last of the tails and seam it up and block it, and it's done. So here's what it looks like now. Oops, let's get these guys onto the back so they're not interfering. So it is set up with a combination of stranded color work and Japanese stitch or Japanese lace stitch patterns, and it alternates between using the Japanese stitch pattern or Japanese stitch dictionary designs, color work, more of the Japanese stitches, another round of another group of color work, then one more round of the Japanese stitch dictionary design, and then I'm just starting the final section of the stranded color work. At the midpoint here, there is one round done in pearls so that it will fold, when it's done, it will fold in half. So you'll have a reversible cowl, and then using the provisional cast on that we started with, we will take this part, put it back on a needle, and to this part, and do a 3-needled bind off to finish it off. So it's getting close. When I saw you last, I was partway through this color work section here. So where that yellow marker is, upwards, is the progress I've made since I last saw you. So I'm really, really happy with that. So it was, I can't remember what day I was on back here, probably around 13, maybe the beginning of day 14. So I've got a good chunk done since I last saw you 2 weeks ago. So I'm really hoping that I can show you this gorgeous thing as 100% finished object when I see you guys again next week. We shall see. I might get distracted by other whips, but for now I'm really hoping I can get this one all finished so that I can add another finished object to my list of finished objects for the year. So stay tuned, come back next week, see what kind of progress I made on that and whether I did finish it. I'm hoping to work on that one more later this afternoon and evening. We'll see. I might work on a different project for a while too. I haven't decided yet. The other project I've put a fair bit of work in is, it just looks like a big fluffy lump right now. But this is my Sunday cardigan, and this is a pattern by Petite Knit. And with this one, I'd have to double check the needle sizes I was using on this one. But what I'm doing with, I've already got fluffies in my eyes, good grief. I should have looked at this one last. And I'm partway through a row, but this one is currently at the point where I am doing the ribbing at the bottom. I'm trying to figure out a way to show you this. I should have got this to the end of the row. But I'm at the point now, I've switched to the smaller needles and I'm doing the ribbing at the bottom. I think I'm at about 2.5 inches of ribbing done. The pattern calls for about 4 inches, so I'm getting close to being finished with the body section of the sweater, and then I'll just have the sleeves to finish up after that. So I'm really hoping I can at least get the body of this one done soon, and then get a move on doing the body up, or doing the sleeves as well. When I last saw you, I was at this kind of yellowy green marker. So I added that much more on the body, from the yellowy green to the bluey green marker, and from this bottom marker down is giving me a point to measure for the ribbing. So the yellow green up here and down is the progress I've made since I last saw you. So I'm happy with the progress on this one. I'm hoping to get a fair bit more done on that, hopefully in the next couple days, so that I can at least have the body finished and then worry about getting onto the sleeves soon. He's like wrestling with a Muppet right now. This is not working. This is not cooperating. This thing does not want to go back in the bag. I'm just using a pretty horse tote bag that a friend of mine gave me years ago. So that's my project bag for that one. Fluffies. The other project, my other two projects are both Stephen West projects. One of them, oh good grief, that's another one I'm in mid-row. I've spent a little bit of time working on Shawlography, and this was the mystery knit along from October. So this was another one I casted on. No, I had my first hand surgery 2 days before the pattern came out. So I was behind from the get-go on this one as well. And in the last 2 weeks, I haven't made as much progress on this one, but I have started I have done the 2-color brioche section, and I'm about halfway through that section right now. Yeah, I'm about halfway through that. And these rows I find take a long time to do. It's well over 400 stitches per row. So it takes me a while to get each row done, which is probably why I'm stopped mid-row on this one as well. But I have got a little bit of progress done on it in the last 2 weeks, but I hadn't done much on this for quite a while. So my progress is just this little blue or pink and cream section. So that's a pattern by Stephen West. The yarn I'm using for this one is Holst Super Soft in 5 different colors, 4 different colors, 5 different colors. I have 3 shades of purple, the pink, and a cream color. So that one's coming along nicely. Once I've finished the brioche section, I will still have to do the border on it. And that will probably take a little while too, but I am anxious to get that one finished. It's my second oldest work in progress right now. The Sunday cardigan, I think, is my oldest work in progress right now. Yeah, it is. I cast the Sunday Cardigan on in end of September. I cast on Shawlography middle of October, around between the 15th and 20th of October. I cast on the Advent scarf mid-December. And the fourth work in progress I have is in another one of my field supply bags. And this is my hybrid knit-along shawl that I cast on the 26th of December. So this one I'm making nice progress. This is another pattern by Stephen West. This one, there were two options for the hybrid knit-along. One of them was a crescent shape shawl and the other one was an asymmetrical triangle. I opted for the crescent shaped shawl. I prefer that shape of shawls in general. And so the one I'm doing is the cabled trellis shawl. And I'm using yarn I dyed myself for this. And I'm loving it. It doesn't look like a lot yet. But I'm really enjoying it. It keeps trying to just go scrunchy bunchy on me. So I've finished the little garter stitch section. Then I finished the larger, or the section with the cabled, just the straight cabled columns. And now I'm into the lattice work type of section, and this section goes for quite a few more repeats. So I still have a fair bit to do on this one, but I am really enjoying it, and I'm loving the fabric. It's so squishy. It uses worsted weight yarn, and I think I don't remember what size knitting needles. 2 weeks and I forget to little details that I should be telling you about. But since last week or 2 weeks ago, I was at this yellow marker here. So I had done part of the column section, and since I saw you last, I have added from the yellow marker downwards. So it's a fun pattern once you get into the rhythm of where the cables go and how the colors change. It's a lot of fun. I'm really, really enjoying this knit. It is probably going to be a little while before I get it finished. I'm trying to decide if over the next week or so, if I'm going to try to do some work each day, or at least do something on all four of my whips each day during the upcoming week, or if I will try to crank them out one at a time. I am tempted to try to finish the Advent scarf as soon as I can, because that one's probably close to 85% complete now, and it's by far the one I'm closest to being finished with right now. So I really am hoping that I'm kind of leaning towards I'd like to spend more time on that one and try to get that one finished and off the needles. And then I'd be down to 3 whips. And I really do want to try to get all of my whips done before I succumb to peer pressure and cast on something new. I do know that once March rolls around, I will be spending a lot of time focusing on and working on Sock Madness patterns. So once that starts, all of my other whips are just going to be put to the side and forgotten about while I'm working on Sock Madness patterns. So I really would like to get the bulk of these done before Sock Madness starts. So that gives me a good at least 6 weeks. At least 6 weeks before I need to start worrying about Sock Madness starting. So it's quite possible that I will be able to get the majority of them done. It might be nice to get, it would be really cool if I had 3 of them done and then I only had one additional whip left to kind of alternate back and forth between Sock Madness patterns and the Sock Madness patterns and finishing off one last whip. We'll see if I can actually restrain myself and not cast on anything new. Sometimes easier said than done. So that about covers all of my knitting progress. So like I said, I'm really happy that I was able to show all of my projects some love this past 2 weeks. I'm really happy that I managed to do that. I was fortunate, like I mentioned, that I had the better part of a week where I was tied up with all-day conference stuff. So it freed up a lot of knitting time. And I think I spent a little bit of time, each day I picked a different whip and spent a good chunk of that day during the conference working on that. School started this past Monday, so we're back in the classroom and back into full swing on campus and at universities. So that's cutting into my time, my spare time some, but such is life. Other news, the hubby and I went yesterday and got our COVID booster shots, and we both found that afterwards, about 2-3 hours later, I just had zero energy. I actually went to bed at 9:30 last night, and I would have been happy to have gone to bed at 6. I was so drained, and I slept like the dead all night. And I went to bed at 9:30, and I didn't get up until I think it was almost 7:30 when I got up this morning. When I was getting up, I was asking the hubby how he was, or commented something that said good morning to him, and he was commenting that he had a horrible night. Obviously, I slept hard because I didn't even notice, but he had full-on fever, chills, sweating buckets, aches. He felt horrible all night. So I took a couple Tylenol, and he went back to bed. He didn't get up till he was in bed for probably at least 12 hours last night, poor thing. By later afternoon, after he got up and had been up for a couple hours, he was starting to feel back to normal. But he felt pretty rough last night, poor guy. So I lucked out with, other than just feeling overly tired, and my arm's not the least bit sore. That didn't bother me whatsoever. Second shot, it did. I rolled over in the night, and when I laid on this side of my arm, it would wake me up because it felt uncomfortable. Last night, not at all. Didn't bother me at all. But so we're all up to date on our booster shot and all of our vaccines now. And Monday, the university is closed in the US for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So we won't be, we'll be both home during the day, or at least I will, and suspect the hubby will be home all day on Monday as well. And there's, according to the forecast, there's a nor'easter snowstorm coming through this way on Sunday afternoon till Monday afternoon. So it's not supposed to start snowing until mid-afternoon tomorrow on Sunday, and potentially switch from snow to freezing rain and sleet overnight and into the morning. So I'm glad we don't have any classes scheduled on Monday. I do not have to go anywhere. And my hubby had a medical appointment on Monday. He phoned this morning and canceled that, and he'll reschedule it it was just like a regular checkup kind of thing. It wasn't anything super urgent. So he's going to reschedule that just so that if the weather is bad, he doesn't have to drive to the next town over to go see this doctor. So if the storm does come through, we're both at home all day. So I'll also have a little extra time for knitting on Monday, since I don't have to, well, university is closed either which way. So I will have a little extra time on Monday to do some knitting. But like I said, I really am hoping to get my Advent scarf finished in the next few days. I really do want to get that one off the needles. And then have more time to focus on the other ones. So I think that's about all that's new around here. I should be back to my normal routine now and able to get on and podcast or film and podcast or videotape whatever on Saturdays as I normally do after starting again today. It was just the one last week was kind of schedule is a bit off kilter because of the conference. But otherwise, I think that's about all. I'm really starting to ramble now, which is, I guess, the norm. So, on that note, I will let you guys go. Take care, and I will see you guys again next week. Bye, everyone.